That's good. It's good.
The lack of confidence.
I think it's good. We can use it,
No, I think we can use it. It's good content. I love when people say that. Oh, no, it's good. It makes for good content.
Oh, yeah.
It's like if someone says that, like, no, it's good. It makes for good content. Guess what? Bad content.
Yeah.
It's not good content. Anyway, continue with your story.
Oh, could you turn me down just a smidge so I don't go deaf?
Oh, is it really loud?
In just a minute.
Okay. Is it good now?
Yeah, it's great.
Is that better? Okay.
Well, what I was saying was like you were talking about like this thing where like it's like this. I don't know. It's a phenomenon. I don't know what it is. Maybe people are more naturally introverted, or maybe people don't feel comfortable talking amongst a crowd of strangers. Right?
You're talking like on a Zoom calls, specifically, like a conference call. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like it's like conversation's welcomed. People know that it's welcomed conversation.
Right.
There is no judging.
It's like we can see your video and your squares for a reason.
Right. Like there is no judging. It's an open forum. You can take as long as you want. If you want to talk about masturbating, probably not going to judge you. Right?
Yeah. Well,
not appropriate for work, but you understand what I'm saying. It's basically no restrictions, no judgment.
Especially if you go into it setting the expectation that this is no judgment zone. It's essentially like Zoom for some organizations is like Planet Fitness for fat people.
Yeah. And, no
judgment zone.
You go into them. Why does that taste like medicine?
It's tequila.
Okay. That makes sense.
Literally, it's actually one of my least favorite ones. I just trying to kill the bottle.
That's fine. It literally was like, I thought I was taking cough syrup.
It's not bad. It's Cazadores. It's their anejo. And I figured I'm going through, so not to derail the conversation, but I've been on a huge tequila kick.
Yeah.
So I've been drinking, and I've been just trying different stuff. I'm not like bourbon. I'm a little bit more snobbyish about, but tequila, it's like I'm just trying to figure some things out. And so when I find an anejo that looks decent, I pick it up. And it's good. I like it. It's just my least favorite out of the ones that I've had. So I mean, as you can tell, I'm pretty close to killing the bottle.
It has such a.
I've had this for a week and I've smashed it.
It has such a floraliness to it that threw me.
Yeah, it does. And dude, I'm so
That's
obsessed.
Why it's like cough syrup.
I'm so obsessed with tequila right now. I just bought another bottle today that I was gonna pop open, but I was like, no, I'm just gonna finish off this Cazadores one just to get rid of it and move on.
I like the flavor now. It was not the tequila I expected to taste. That's all,
dude. The one, so I have Casamigos up there.
Yeah.
And even the Patron, like the extra anejo is it is so good. Like I probably won't drink bourbon for like the rest of the summer. I'll just drink tequila until it gets to wintertime. Okay. I love it. I'm absolutely obsessed. So anyway, this one's good. It's just not as good as the others. Like I'm really digging it. It's just, again, you can tell that I'm.
You know why there's a buck on it? Because I'm pretty confident.
It's weird because that doesn't make sense. Why is there a?
No, it does make.
There's
sense.
like an elk on here.
I want you to think about it for a second.
Jalisco. That's where it's made. All tequilas are supposed to be
Jalisco means the deer in Spanish. Got it.
Yeah, right. Well, Jalisco is actually the city.
Oh.
And it's not a good city either.
Yeah. Well,
it's bad. It's not good.
They have man-killing bucks.
But I think the whole thing is like if it's 100% tequila, which is essentially it's agave. Yeah. But to be called tequila, it actually has to be made, I believe, in Jalisco.
I've been really trying to put my nose to what this smells like, and I think I've got it after looking at the label. Dude, this got deer urine in it.
Yeah, for sure. It does kind of have a bit of a urine smell to it, doesn't it?
Bitter bite.
Like kind of like an ammonia, like a cleaning product.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It does. Maybe that's what it is.
This buck's been on
maybe it's agave
heavy grass diet.
Agave and buck funk.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey,
reduce down urine.
Continue with your story.
I'm a buck. Oh, but what I was gonna say is like people go into it's almost like my team meetings that I have at work. They're like going into AA meetings, right? It's like this.
Yeah.
We will not judge you. Speak your mind. Like it's that type, which is great. The culture is great.
Yeah.
But I always find myself having to be that person that has to be the instigator to conversation.
Yeah. I hate dude.
Always.
I can empathize with you so much.
Always.
It's crazy. Dude, I've called out people who are salespeople.
Yeah.
And I go, your job is to literally have conversations with people, and you're acting like this is the first time you've ever been on a camera in your entire life. Yeah. It's
and you know what's
unreal to me.
And you know what's sad? There's two things happen. One, you just enable them to stay silent because they'll still stay silent. So now everybody expects you to be the first one to talk. So then they really don't talk in the beginning.
Right. And then they look so awkward if you call on them. You're just like, hey, Stephanie, or hey, Kendall, what do you think about this thing? And then you could tell that they're like,
oh, this one's the best one. This is the best one. When they're on silent for 10 seconds after you ask them a question, and they're like, oh, I couldn't find the mute button. I guess I was muted. It's like, no, you weren't, you piece of shit.
You weren't paying attention.
You weren't paying attention. You weren't muted.
Yeah, we have times of which we like demand people be on camera because of that. Because we've had so many times where people are just like fucking off working, doing other shit, not paying attention.
It's like, oh, sorry, I was muted. I couldn't find the button.
I'll call.
You haven't found the button after 2 years of doing Zoom calls.
Dude, dude, it's so funny. Like, if anybody that I work with listens to this, they'll laugh because they know that it's true. I've called people out. They're not. I'll be like, hey, why are you not on camera? Or I'd be like, hey, what did I just say?
Yeah.
Repeat back what I just said.
Yeah.
Like, I'm that guy.
Yeah.
And then 9 times out of 10, they don't know shit, and they're not going to respond with shit. And then they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I was doing this thing, and sorry, I had a customer call in. I'm just fucking liars.
Yeah, I find myself not really ever leading a conversation, an open conversation, but I always find myself being the one responding to them like I have a obligation to, because we're all there for a reason. And I'll wait a few seconds because sometimes people have something important to say, and I don't want to be like this first one jumping off like it's fucking like Jeopardy. And I'm like, what is, like I'm not that type. So I'll wait a second, but then there's dead silence. I'm like, oh fuck, now I gotta really step in. But I'm like, I feel like that teacher's pet. You know that kid that sits in the front row and always raises their hand?
I really do feel this. We've been podcasting so long that you just have comfort around conversation.
That's true, actually.
So you don't feel as awkward as they feel. If a conversation starts, you know inherently when other people aren't, when to jump in and like spark the fire, so to speak. I have to do the same thing at work all the time. Dude, I cannot tell you how many times, and it gets annoying, where somebody either in our marketing department, it's not that it gets annoying, it's just like there's so many other people who should be either in front of a camera or on a podcast or speaking about this thing. But this is what I always get. Marketing will come to me and say, hey, we want you to do this video for this. And then I go, so like I'm literally doing a billion things.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, I'll put up, not resistance, but just be like, okay, give me the details around it. And like, well, we're only coming to you because you're so good in front of the camera, because you know how to speak intelligently and you're very eloquent when you talk and you're a really good interviewer. And I'm like, but you got to give the opportunity for other people to do it as well. Like, I can't be the person that does it ever. Like, the last show that we did, dude, I was on camera twice for 2 different things because they weren't comfortable in having the conversation with anyone else. I'm like, I don't want to be the default. I don't want to be like the fucking goddamn camera puppet all the time. Where it's like, Cory, we need you to speak. And it's just like, all right, well, I'm not a news anchor.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it all the time. There's times where it's like someone else needs to figure it out. Like,
and you could see their wheels turning. You can see these people's wheels turning. Like they know they have something. They're trying to coalesce a coherent
but
sentence.
I think it's an anxiety thing. It's like this internal, what, it's weird. It's like the conversation has a trigger to it. And unless somebody like manages to flip that switch, they're just going to keep internalizing stuff. Everybody's thinking about things. Everyone has thoughts, because you say, does anyone have questions? And you see people go like this.
Yeah.
I will see, and do you do this too? You'll see people, like you'll see something in your eyes and you go, hey, so-and-so, you have a question, don't you? And then you kind of have to like grab it from them.
I am very expressive about it. I get called on when I don't immediately speak, but I give this kind of like pondering.
Yeah, Chris, you have a thought.
It's like, you're thinking about something, Chris. What do you guys say?
What if you just farted?
And I'll be like,
Yeah, I know. I know. But what you mean.
It's just this like, I don't know. I mean, there's things that here's the thing. I genuinely don't want to talk.
Yeah, same. 100%. Hate it. I like. This is the only time I like talking.
Yeah, I don't want to talk.
I hate talking during work.
I'd rather be quiet and just listen.
Same.
But no.
That's why I got out of sales, because I don't want to do that anymore.
It's like, I feel like that unarmed person that they put in the front of a fucking 1800s or 1700s war. Like, yeah, I'm the drummer slash flag
the flag holder.
Like, I'm unarmed.
Yeah.
And you want me, and I feel like I have an obligation to charge the field.
Yeah.
And I'm the first one that can't defend myself.
And you're just going.
I'm the guy that always dies. You know, that's the risk. I'm the guy that always dies.
Yeah,
that's the risk.
You get the musket shot to the fucking leg, and next thing you know, you got your drum hoisted on your shoulder. You're being carried off the field, and you know that leg's getting amputated.
Because if I didn't carry that flag and fucking pound that drum, no one's fucking moving.
No, you're the guy.
I'm that fucking guy.
You're leading the charge. Isn't that kind of fucked up? Is the people who lead the armies were the ones that were unarmed?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's fucking weird.
Do you think so real thought here, real talk. Do you think at any point in any one of those wars, now what we're talking about wars, we're talking about like back to like Revolutionary War, even civil time wars, even though the armory and the firearms were more advanced in the Civil War, structurally wars are still fought the same. And that was lines versus lines, which is such a terrible way to do war now that we reflect back on it.
Yeah.
But let's go back to Revolutionary War times where drummer boys and flag carriers were like a thing, right? And they were the ones in the front. Do you think there was ever a point in the war where a charge was led where a drummer boy or a flag holder was able to kill somebody with either their drums or drumsticks or the flag?
Speared someone with a flag.
Because if you think about it, you watch the movie Patriot.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson picks up the flag at the end and jabs the dude in the chest.
Yeah.
Do you think that the drummer boy or the flag holder do you think they have a kill count? I bet they do. I bet someone has died via drumstick.
I bet you it has been used. I don't necessarily know if it's the drummer boy
could you imagine drumstick you see the British Army and he just goes
no. Hey, take the scene from Saving Private Ryan when they're in the bell tower and they're having that knife fight.
Oh yeah.
Replace the knife with a drumstick.
Yeah, the Jew and the other guy.
Yeah,
were
the
fighting.
German guy.
I hate when that guy
they captured.
Dies.
Yeah,
that's the worst death in that movie.
So just replace the knife with the drumstick. And imagine seeing that on a field.
Be some fucked up shit.
My personal opinion is I feel like flag carrier / drummer boy is not the one inflicting a death. He already passed. Like,
he's done.
Listen, he was the first one hit by a cannonball.
That drum, I was going to say the drum was hit by a cannonball for sure.
They're like, shut up. Think about. But I have no doubt someone had picked up a flag. Like, I'm out of bullets. I can't load quick enough. Grab that flag, this broken flag that's still attached to this dead hands of this drummer boy. Pulls it and uses it as a weapon. I have no doubt that it was.
But could you imagine? So Revolutionary Wartime was the first time ever in history from the militia that we saw what was now called guerrilla warfare. It was a more strategic and tactical way of fighting. It was
with guerrillas.
It's certainly with silverbacks in the U.S. carried over from the French. This is the first time guerrilla warfare was ever really implemented any time in war, and it was out of necessity because there wasn't enough soldiers in the militia to ward off an army. So they'd be really tactical. They'd be very strategic about positioning, right?
Yeah.
It was all about like flanking, and it was all about the element of surprise. Could you imagine the drummer boy sitting behind a fucking tree just sharpening
the edge
of the drumstick into like two shanks? How cool would that be?
It'd be pretty baller.
I swear to God, if they had kill counts from the Revolutionary War and you just look through all the names and what their ranks are, and if it's like so-and-so drummer boy and it's like kill count 2, and you're like, who the fuck did he kill?
Or like it's if there's a family out there, if you're listening, whatever small chance it may be, if you had inherited a bloody drumstick, like down from your
or if you just
great grandfather,
if you have an ancestor, either a flag carrier or a drummer boy, and you know they were a badass and they killed some shit,
and you heard that story at a family gathering, like, yeah, your great grandpappy killed someone.
I don't even want to Google it. I want to hear stories.
In the Civil War. Yeah,
dude, that'd be nuts.
That'd
be like great grandpa never would talk about how he speared a guy in the throat with his drumstick.
I know.
The old Vic Firth 5B right to the jugular. Hey, did you hear Elon Musk is trying to buy Twitter?
I did.
That's pretty wild. Dude, what? So he became majority share owner, and most people didn't know this. And I was like waiting. I was like, wait a second, but if he comes majority shareholder and he joins the board, he can't buy the company. This is stuff that I've learned through all the stuff I'm doing with investments. So I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. He's not going to be on the board, because if he's on the board, he has limited power. He has as much power per his shares than anyone else does on the board, right?
Yeah.
Well, he declined the offer to join the board. Why?
Because he wants to
Because
buy
he's
it.
trying to buy the company.
Mm-hmm.
He offered him like $41 billion and then wants to take it private. And they're actually considering it. Twitter released a thing where they said they're scrutinizing his offer, going through it, and then seeing if there's, the legitimacy and making sure that they are considering it. It's not one of those things where they said no. It's like, we're reading through all the documents, reading through all the paperwork, and we'll make a decision. Dude,
Hey.
$41 billion is a lot of money.
What do you think they'll call it? Canary?
Maybe.
Like, because I think when you go private, I think of closed off. I think of cage. So I think when a cage.
Canary in the cage.
Canary. Be clever.
I don't think Elon Musk will change the name. If you saw the statement that he released into why he wanted to buy it, he said that there's so much potential and so much power in that medium, but that Twitter's essentially been irresponsible in allowing people to freely speak. So his whole thing is freedom of speech. Like, it is really, truly curtailing Twitter into a platform that allows people not, like Donald Trump kicked off of Twitter. There's been Milo Yiannopoulos kicked off of Twitter. There's been a lot of people who have been super outspoken on Twitter that you stifle their ability for free speech, and Twitter just made a decision to get rid of those people.
Well, it's censorship.
Censorship, exactly.
For fear of inciting riots or whatever.
That's what they say, but that's not really the truth.
Yeah.
It's just difference of opinion.
Well, it's such a powerful thing, and people don't realize this with social media, but like, being on social media, especially on Twitter, has the power of being like, it's like you at a podium. It's like you with a megaphone, and you have the ability to reach infinitesimal amount of people.
Right.
Or not infinitesimal, just an infant. Not.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
What is an infant decimal?
Infinitesimal. I think it's like minute, but that doesn't make sense.
But is that like an infant mixed with a decimal? Like, is it a part of an infant?
Yeah,
it's a fraction
My
of
brain's
an
a little
infant.
fried today.
It's infant fractional.
Fractional. Can you buy babies in parts?
Sure, you can.
Sure. But it's just a huge megaphone, like, to the world, and it's very powerful, whether that message is good or bad. And so I can understand why censorship is a thing. I'm not saying it's right, though, but I understand why it's a thing.
Yeah, well, it's depending on what you censor. The problem is there's so much subjectivity in it. Like, Twitter would pick and choose who they wanted to censor. Dude, Instagram is doing that shit right now.
Yeah.
Like, right now they're choosing, and they're doing it not necessarily with the deletion of accounts, which they have done against community guidelines. But sometimes they're just censoring. It's like, I don't like this thing you're talking about.
Right. Well, it's based on...
And we're just going to stop pushing it.
It's based on a moral or political belief system.
Do you think it comes down to an individual, though? Do you think like there's a single individual that's like, let's say hypothetically, I post something on Instagram, which is related to cigars, and then someone is just going through either hashtags, going through the algorithm. It's a single person just sitting on a computer going, bup, 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 and they just don't like cigars. Maybe their dad smoked cigars and their dad beat them when they were younger and left their family. And they're just like, I don't like cigars. And then just like, nope. Do you think that's what it is? You think there's like individuals just going, nope.
Yeah, because it happened with Facebook.
I mean, it has happened with multiple people, right?
Yeah, it happened to us, and it doesn't even, and not even from a standpoint of moralistic or political beliefs, right? The controversy of moral and political, because that's really what social media harkens down on: censorship,
right?
Political or moral, believe it or not, getting a vaccine is both political and moral.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
But anyways, we were scrutinized off of code. Literally trying to get code approved through Facebook for applications we were developing, and it was a person. It was literally a person
I don't like what you're doing.
Someone rejected what we were doing. We had to submit a ticket saying, no, you don't understand. But then they were like, well, you need to show me what makes this work. And then, but it was a human being.
Yeah.
Who
was a person.
A person who said yay or nay to this.
Right.
And, they do that to thousands of people,
yeah,
a month probably.
I was listening to she's a comedian. Her name's Tammy Lynn. She's a bigger lady.
Yeah, that name sounds
always has her tits out. Tammy Lynn. Her name's Chelsea Lynn. She does a character named Tammy, which is like this white trash lady. She's actually super fucking funny. She said she got her account got deleted off Instagram for a post she made of her making eggs. And then I was listening to her on an interview, and the interviewer was like, wait a second. Like, so it was like, because she always has her tits out. Like, there's like everything she does. She's like big fucking lady with just massive tits. But she was just making eggs. And that was all it was. It was like a video for like making breakfast, and Instagram deleted it. I said it went against their community guidelines for sexual content. And she was like, I'm making eggs. And they just deleted her account.
But it's because of her boobies?
I think it's because they believed and or somebody reported the video or reported another subset of videos.
Yeah.
And they just used that content as the scapegoat for deleting her account.
Interesting.
Yeah, she was like, it was literally. She was like, there was no image of me in the video. It's just me making eggs. And she was, my account got deleted, and but, she and her legal team and her management went to Instagram, and Instagram was like, well, there's things that violate this and blah blah blah, and she had multiple violations, and then finally they just deleted her account permanently, and she had to restart. She had to start another account.
Isn't it interesting for people to have, and it's really hard not to do. I do it myself. To have a judgment or opinion on someone else whose intentionality could be completely opposite of what our judgment or opinion is.
It's super weird. That's why the subjectivity of what violates certain rules is weird to me.
Yeah.
It's like it should be a hard and fast thing. I was like, if you say this very specific thing, boom, 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 boom. I get hate speech. I understand that. There isn't really a lot of subjectivity in hate speech unless it's something where it's I remember the post.
But that's because it's a shared value amongst a majority of our culture.
Kind of, but even that, I told you about that post that I made. I commented on some things, and I commented on, I think it was Tatuahe's post, and I called someone a dumb face. I got cited for hate speech.
Dumb face?
Dumb face. So I can go through and show it. It's still under review from October of last year.
Could you imagine?
I called someone I was like, oh, you're dumb face.
Could you imagine in a world where you get a call from the school? You're just like, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Allen, Michael called another kid a dumb face today. We had to cite him. We understand that you're the financier of this family. You're being charged $120 for hate speech.
Whoever said that, guy or girl, I'd punch right
because
in the face.
Isn't that where it's going to go?
Probably.
Where, yeah, I get it. There's a reason hate speech is known as a no-no. It's because we have a shared value system across a majority of the world where we all agree that that's wrong, right? That's why it is what it is.
Right.
It's a virtue, value, belief system. So I get it.
But definitionally, if we can't come to an agreement on what hate speech actually is.
Right.
Me calling someone a dumb face satirically isn't hate speech.
Right.
And no one would categorize it as that except for the person who either decided to report me or Instagram who said that's hate speech.
It's where is the line drawn then at that point, right?
Right.
It's a big fucking blurry line.
Dude, if I can't call someone a dumb face,
yeah,
I've said way worse things.
Because why was hate speech eradicated or frowned upon? It's because it hurt people's feelings.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And it was derogatory. It was a negative connotation towards another individual.
Right.
Because people perceived it as a negative connotation.
So should we just say stop perceiving it in a certain way?
I wish people had the backbone to do that, but they don't. I wish. Yeah. And that's a controversial thing to say, but it's I'm not saying I'm against hate speech or that I am for it. I truly am. Because I think a shared value system of what we find.
You're for hate speech?
Well, sorry, I don't mean that. I mean the
choose your words carefully.
Yeah, sorry. Fried brain today. Getting red. Anyways, I am for the authority and belief that hate speech is wrong.
Agreed. I would agree with that.
Because it's something that I believe in as a personal choice, but also understanding that culturally speaking, that is a moral stance that most people share in this world.
But you have a definition for it that maybe some others don't have.
Correct, because it's a big fucking gray line.
Because the problem is there's a lot of pussies out there that if you said, I don't like you, you have an ugly face, they'd be like, hate speech. And they would cry and they'd want to go to a safe space. Listen, I'm a fucking millennial, definitionally. And I think this shit is fucked up. I think it's so goddamn ridiculous.
Listen.
That grade blur line that you talked about, so here's black.
Yeah.
Here's white.
No race involved.
That gray blurred line
yeah.
is the majority of the spectrum now.
It is.
It's not a small subset of the spectrum where we're definitionally close.
Yeah.
And there's just a little bit of gray. Like when we say, oh, there's a little bit of gray. Yeah. No, there's a vast amount of gray area now.
Yeah.
Black and white is way the fuck left and way the fuck right.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it's still controversial because even in some regards, older homosexuals are okay with the term gay. But
now you can't say gay.
But you have two differences of opinion. There's some older homosexuals that are okay with the phrasing.
There's older generational gay guys who use the F word. And I'm not going to say it, but we know what it is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you silly blah.
Yeah.
Rhymes with maggot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That dude, I've seen videos of them saying it.
Yeah.
But it's like, if there's a sensitivity if anyone else says it, maybe not by them, but other people. And you go, what?
I'm telling you this right now.
What are the rules? I don't even know what the rules are anymore.
If every big-nosed person on this planet, me, you,
dude, I got a schnoz like
most of our family. If there was
a sniffer on me,
if there was enough of us that made such a large, what's the word I'm looking?
It'd be like the Big Nose Coalition.
Large wave, telling people that we are subject to what's the word? Unwanted criticisms and abuse, verbal abuse because of our large noses, because everybody's different, but we know we've got big noses, but it's hurtful for people to tell us we have big noses. If we made such a large splash and everybody with a big nose on this planet got behind it, how much do you want to bet?
You have a lot of big nose momentum.
That we would not be able to speak about big noses about other people.
That's true, for sure. By the way, let's do that. All right. With that, we're going to take a break. We have a review today. Really excited about this review. This is a new cigar release that has come out. And I think it just now made it to shelves. I think now is the time at which it hits the shelves. It's a cigar I'm super excited about. So hang tight with us. We'll be back at you guys in just a minute.
I'm getting to the point now, my age, my health, the fact that, I've gotten all this social anxiety that I don't even want to leave my house anymore. The thing is, I still want to smoke cigars at home, but I sure as shit do not want to leave my home.
Yeah, well, you're perpetually sick, so there's a societal responsibility that you have as well.
I just wish there was some way for me to buy cigars without having to think about it.
I think I have the medicine for you. My cigar pack. Curated packs come straight to your door every single month.
Is it
5-pack of cigars, specially handpicked for you? And you can also subscribe to the Factory Direct program and get cigars that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, as long as it covers the Omnicrom variant, I'm good.
I heard they show up in hazmat suits.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that safety and protection are at top of mind.
That's
so
good. You
can visit My Cigar Pack, www.mycigarpack.com to support all their options. Again, that's www.mycigarpack.com. All right, we're back.
You know what I also think, Corey? I know we took a 30-minute break, but I think it's important to say this.
You silly gays.
The same is going to happen for skinny and heavy people.
It already has.
I know. And I caught myself just now not using the word fat.
Oh, didn't I use fat? I used fat at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. See, I used heavy.
Oh, I said I made a joke about Planet Fitness.
Yeah.
Whoops. Should I delete that out?
No. Let's go.
Listen, yeah. I mean, dude, it's so weird because like 5 years ago, I remember making fun of midgets on the show.
Not anymore.
I can't make fun of midgets on the show. By the way, this episode's the 5-year anniversary. Literally today. Today is the 5-year anniversary of the show.
Last one.
5-year anniversary. It's been a good 5 years.
It's been a great
It's been a good 5 years. We're hanging it up after this. This episode's going to be 10 hours long.
In fact,
we're going until we die.
In fact, the poster graphic is going to be completely different. It's literally going to be us saluting going down in a boat that's sinking.
Especially after we get canceled for all this fat talk.
Yeah.
Hey, chubby butts, get your shit together. You know what? I feel like I can say that. And the reason I can say that is like, if Joe Rogan says something and doesn't get canceled, I just kind of follow in his wake.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So when he talks about like, hey, there's a lot of fatties out there who probably would be a lot better off fighting things like COVID and other illnesses if they were to just exercise, get in shape, and eat right. And then part of me is like, oh, I'm just going to follow in his wake and just kind of say the same things.
Yeah.
If he's not getting canceled, I think we're okay.
What's funny is that heavy show where they like, see, look at me. I'm trying to be as politically, culturally correct as I can.
You mean the lady who literally has fat on her forehead?
Oh, yeah. Like
what is it, 600-pound life or 1,000-pound life or whatever it is?
Yeah, but they had that like workout show. That one.
Oh, the weight loss show.
Where they fat shamed them into getting healthier.
Yeah, it was you're talking about the people who like
Julian Michaels. I don't know if
Julian Mike, that's it. Yeah, Julian Mike.
There was other ones too. There was other weight trainers.
The blonde haired dude.
Yeah. But the point was everybody looked at like, oh my God, look how cool they are. They're fat shaming them. But most
they're
of
like
them
smacking the Snicker bars out of their hands.
But most of them that had any semblance to take accountability for something that they knew internally was bad,
right,
came out of that going like, I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, of course. Dude, of course. Like, listen, here's the thing. I'm happy for anybody who's happy.
Right.
With their life.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not happy for people who I feel sometimes make decisions because, how do I explain it? They make decisions in their lives knowing it's an unhealthy decision, but reconciling in their head that this is an okay thing to do. Because I'm not happy when I see people who abuse their bodies. I'm not happy when I see people who are creating detriment to their health by poor decisions that they're making, because there's there's a lot of people that I love, admire, and respect that I see do unhealthy things. And then selfishly I go, well, I don't want you to be around for another 5 years. I want you to be around for another 25 years, another 50 years or whatever it may be. So selfishly I go, why would you do those things? Why are you trying to reconcile in your head that this is a good behavior when I know it's only going to cause you issues in the long run?
Yeah.
Like, I have a hard time with that.
Specifically with the weight and health thing.
And it has nothing to do with like, it's my right to do what I want to do and don't shame me. It's like, it's not shaming me. I'm being selfish, but it's not shaming. It's that I would rather have you here longer in the existence of my life so we can stay connected versus you making poor decisions in your life and then compromising your health as a result.
Yes.
That I struggle with that a lot.
United States would like that too because you're a taxpayer. That's a really dark thing to say.
Jesus Christ.
That's a really dark thing. You know, if I had any chance in politics.
Also medical, I think about like pharmaceuticals, right?
Yeah. If I had any potential in politics.
It's gone.
It's fucking gone now.
Out the window. Yep.
Everybody's like, yeah, we've got political candidate.
Chris on episode 239 said this. How do you feel about this? Chris, how do you respond to what you said? You're like, you know what? I own that one.
Yep. I am grateful to be in this country, but it definitely comes with its drawbacks.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get in this review. Okay, today, really excited about this, specifically because in 2018, a cigar came out from Crown Heads called the 4 Kicks Mule Kick. Now, this wasn't a new concept, the Mule Kick, but 2018 marks for me one of the most special cigars I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
I regard it as one of the best cigars that's ever been created. That's just me, right? And other people are going to think I'm crazy. There's like, there's the Padrones and there's the Fuentes and there's this of the world and there's this and this and this and this. And it's all subjectivity. I get it. But for me, it's one of the best cigars ever created, to the point where it's like I was in fucking Texas and tracked down a box of these bad boys sitting underneath a dusty shelf.
Yeah.
And bought them. So 2022 represents a different blend. Still the Four Kicks Mule Kick, still the same innards, but this time with the San Andreas wrapper.
Not to mention, because last year was a departure, wasn't it? Was it the Sumatran last year?
No, last year there was not one. 2020 was the last time.
2020 was the Sumatran, right?
No, 2018. Yes, you're right. Correct.
Okay.
I think the Sumatran was 2020 or it was 2019.
Yeah.
2018 was the Ecuadorian. But no, wait a second.
Yeah. We're fact checked. This is important. That said, you know what I found interesting?
I think the 2018 was the Ecuadorian Sumatran.
What I find interesting is that I feel like this one this year, maybe it's just me, it feels more like that in 2018. When I look at it,
it does.
I'm like, this reminds me.
It does.
Of the 2018.
It definitely does. Sorry, the 2018 was the Connecticut Habano. I knew it was Habano. I think you're right. I think the Sumatran was the 2020. I don't know. I'm sure John will correct us at some point.
He's like, you got this completely wrong.
But the 2018. By the way, these blended by Epicurio.
Yeah.
So I already have a love affair with Epicurio cigars. But yeah, so the 2018 was a Connecticut Habano, and dude, that 2018 is like Mount Rushmore, hands down.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
So let's see how the 2020 compares.
Yeah.
To, of course, the 2018 and the rest of them, right?
Yep.
All right, let's get into it. So let's go through the stats of the cigar real quick. So this is the 2022 Four Kicks Mule Kick by Crown Heads, obviously released in 2022. They should be on shelves like any moment. Like right now, if you're listening to this, they're probably making their way on shelves.
Yep.
Mexican San Andreas wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, Nicaraguan filler, same vitola as all the others, a 5 7/8 by 52. Wonderful vitola. Comes in roughly at the $12 price point. All right, let's get into it. You ready? Yep. Let's break down the construction. Chris, the construction of the cigar, what'd you think?
It is an homage to the 2018 in all visual senses, minus that footband, which I think has the year on it. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay. That's the only difference. Other than that, the 2018, even though it was a Habano, correct?
Yep.
Ecuadorian Habano?
A Connecticut Habano.
Connecticut Habano. It looks very similar.
The 2018 is very dark, and so is the 2022. Right. It's a very dark cigar.
And this one is particularly that dark chocolate wrapper. I mean, the amount of tobacco put in mine that I reviewed, fucking stacked with premium tobacco, gritty, but slightly fuzzy, and also just I think a great construction. You know what's interesting is when I have really gritty cigars, like to the touch, you see this with Connecticut broadleafs, you see this with Mexican San Andreas, you see this with even some Habanos, I guess. It just depends on the type of tobacco used for the wrapper, and it's typically with thicker, more veiny wrappers. Have you also always noticed that there's always a slight issue trying to put on those caps to those really veiny, gritty?
Yeah, because like texturally, they're so solid. You know what it's like? It's like paper mache.
Right.
It's like, how do you connect the seams on paper mache?
Like, how do you avoid wrinkles and parts flipping up because it's got the grittiness?
It's got like a very primitive look to it.
Yeah. But I will say, with it being as gritty as it was, great crap structure. Great crap structure. Why do I always want to say crap?
Perfect crap structure.
Great crap structure. I thought it was a great looking cigar, and to me, I mean, the branding is consistent always. I think it is indicative of the Mule Kick. I think in my head, I think people associate the Four Kicks as a Mule Kick more than they do the Mule Kick as a Four Kicks. That's what I think.
That's a hot take.
That's what I think.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think the Mule Kick is more highly regarded as, especially as like a limited edition cigar. Mm-hmm. I think it really retains more attention than just the standard like Four Kicks lineup.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is a subset iteration, a limited iteration of these things, but I think the Mule Kick has this weird kind of cult popularity to it. Yeah, dark, rich, toothy, very firm, super dense cigar. She's a heavy bitch.
She is.
She was a heavy bitch.
Yeah.
A lot of fucking tobacco in that cigar,
Yeah.
no doubt.
Yeah.
Dude, just holding it, I was like, Jesus Christ, do I put this thing on a scale and weigh it like a fucking dog going to the vet? Maybe. I didn't, but it is definitely a lot of tobacco packed in that cigar.
I stress tested it like a composite bow.
Just pull back.
I was just like, fucking folded, man.
I like that. Yeah, beautifully made cigar. I love the toothiness. Obviously, there's certain expectations you have from a wrapper like San Andreas wrapper as far as like looks and feel and all that, and texture and so on. And pretty much on point with most of what you see in Mexican San Andreas cigars. So what do you think about the burn?
I thought the burn was great. It's a solid 2-3 puffer, even with my cigar being heavily packed with tobacco. What's interesting is that I always love thick wrappers. I don't know why. There's a lot of talks that thinner wrappers burn quicker.
Maybe that's why I hate Connecticut shades.
Yeah, thinner wrappers burn quicker,
thin and feeble,
but also more oily wrappers burn slower because of the oil content. And we've people, when I tell you this, we scientifically tested this, like in a factory in Dominican. Like it's a thing. There's a reason more oily tobaccos burn slower than drier, less oily tobaccos. And that's fine. That's just how it works.
That's science.
That's science. But what's interesting is that I like the burn kept pace really well. With it being this kind of relatively oily wrapper, but super gritty and super thick. Like I expected pitting, and I just kind of see that in other types of cigars. Sometimes it depends on the fillers. I will say that because I think it's a balance. I think you want the wrapper to burn faster than the bunched fillers,
and sometimes that's apparent because you get those sharp peaks.
You get the peaks. And that's great because that just means you're not going to struggle with airflow and all sorts of stuff. But like, it kept a really good pace. Like the wrapper, like the burn, it was a pretty solid burn line. Great smoke production. I really can't complain. I just wanted to give you some bits of science.
There you go. Yeah, great even burn line. I had a slight tight draw, so I'm creating a connection, at least for me, in terms of the denseness of the cigar. I already said, in terms of construction, it felt like a very heavy cigar. It felt very dense. I could tell there was a lot of tobacco packed underneath that wrapper. So for me, there was a little bit of a tight draw, and I think there's just a lot in there. Is it something that I was like complaining about the whole time? No, just a consideration of it's not exactly optimal. But the good thing is despite it being a tight draw, the amount of smoke output that it had, also probably indicative of the amount of tobacco that was placed inside the cigar, was adequate to say the least.
Yeah.
Great smoke output. I thought, in terms of burn overall, consistency, I think was key with this. And I agree with you in terms of like you have kind of a gritty, thick wrapper type like that. Oftentimes you'll see, especially an oily cigar, you'll see waves. You'll see like a wave pattern on the burn.
Yeah.
You'll often notice that like even anything that's like a Connecticut shade or like a lighter Habano, especially if it's a thinner wrapper type, you'll see kind of burn more evenly consistently. I think oftentimes that's a bit of a struggle when it comes to thick, oily wrappers. You tend to see those wave patterns. This one was actually very even, very smooth all the way through. I think I actually captured a couple pictures that showed just even the long ash and how evenly it was burning down the cigar, which was nice to see for sure. So minus a slight tight draw, and more of that slight tight draw was at the beginning of the cigar, loosened up over time. It was a great burn. Yeah. Fantastic.
You know what? There's one more point I want to make. I feel like sometimes we have to justify the means based on the causes. And like someone, I feel like there's someone out there right now. There's someone listening to this episode like, why does the amount of smoke come out of the cigar matter? Right?
Yeah, but that's the body to the cigar. That's
the body of the flavor, right?
That's the mouthfeel that you get of the cigar.
Yeah, and
that's smoke output. What you feel,
you get the flavor from all that too.
There's like the flavor sits on the palate, and then you get the body of the cigar, which is the mouthfeel of the cigar. So smoke output is extremely important when you think about the experiential piece of smoking a cigar.
Plus, if you've ever been to a lounge, when you're smoking a cigar and there's barely any smoke coming out of it.
You want to be the guy? You want to be the guy at the lounge that's going, that looks like goddamn fucking dragon. Because you want to be going,
because there's other people in that lounge watching you smoke. And there's maybe even that occasional guy who feels for you. Like, dude, is everything okay?
Sometimes that guy's looking at you going, pussy.
But I know every time you don't see smoke production, everybody assumes something's wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Dude, you want to see that heavy, thick, dense. You want to see that smoke that when it comes out, it drops to the floor.
Right. It's so dense
like a fog machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dude, for sure.
That's why smoke production is important.
That's exactly why it's important. It makes you look fucking cool at the lounge. What about flavors? What'd you get out of this?
All right. So here's what's cool about this cigar, right? Maybe that's too much of a precursor to how much I like it. I wish I could like build suspense. Like, well, I don't know.
No, you can really just rifle through it.
That's true. I could do that. I could save time. But what was great about this cigar is that I had a nostalgic feel to the nature of the way it looked. I was like, oh my God, this reminds me of the 2018.
Very similar.
So I'm starting to smoke it, and initially off the bat, like I'm expecting kind of that pepper rush that I remember kind of getting with the 2018, more so than other years. I thought the Sumatran was significantly milder,
100%.
And so I take a first hit, and I'm like immediately hit with this like rush of like meatiness, some bitter saltiness, and then some medium spice. There's a pepperiness to it, and not like spicy spice, but like a pepperiness. And I was like, wow, okay. So I kept smoking it, and I kept getting that consistent flavor, and I was like, wow, that's pretty, man, that's like a really good cigar. Like I was smoking at 11 o'clock last night, which your time would be, your podcast time would be, I don't know, your day minus whenever we recorded this, which is Thursday. So I don't know. You do the math. Anyways, but I was like, oh man, this is like that steak dinner. It's got that steak dinner vibe.
Yes, and that meaty.
I loved it, man. I loved it. Even from the get-go, I was like, the pepperiness wasn't too overwhelming. There was a lot of flavor up front. And I'm sitting there like smoking it and thinking to myself, and I'm not stroking anybody's ego here. All right. I'm really not. I'm trying to be as objective as I possibly can based on a subjective opinion that this is my type of cigar, right? But fuck, like part of me when I was smoking, and it's very consistent. I feel like the flavors were very consistent. But you mentioned something that I want to touch on, but I don't want to steal your spotlight. So I'm just going to give you what I got on the retrohale.
Okay.
All right, because I wanted a retrohale because I've been smoking pipes lately.
Yeah.
With Cory. Mainly just Cory. I don't really do it by myself. But I like the idea of retrohaling a pipe tobacco because of the flavors.
Right.
Dude. So I decided to retrohale a cigar that's heavier than any pipe tobacco could possibly be.
Of course.
And this one's not any slouch in that regard.
No.
So I start retrohaling the cigar. I'm like, because I was getting all this meatiness, this like steak dinneriness thing to it, like leathery, meaty, bitter, salty, some pepper. I retrohaled it, and you mentioned the retrohale earlier, and I was like, oh man, I got to write down this note because I remembered this point to it. But I couldn't put my finger on it. And I still feel like I might be wrong when I say this. Well, was what I thought. That English tobacco you gave me, that I was retrohaling consistently in recent past.
The English Oriental.
Holy bejesus, if not retrohaling the cigar had that type of same sensation. And I really liked it. I really did. Because on one hand, I'm trying not to make it sound derogatory or sexual, but if I just took it in the mouth, it was meaty and peppery and stuff. But if I took it through the nose, which I would never condone anyone to do.
Never want to take it in the nose.
I got a different flavor. It was awesome. It was very consistent. I don't feel like I got any crazy change ups, but man, it was a great hour and 40-minute smoke.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Good. I'm going to go through flavors that I had, and then I'm going to expand on what I had and when. Very woody, creamy, sweet, peppery, nutty, buttery. Obviously, that in and of itself
it's a lot of flavors.
Sounds like complexity. This is the simplest way that I can state it. I hold the 2018 in such high remarks as one of my all-time favorite cigars ever in existence. Cigar that I hunt down, that I love to the nth degree. And so I know what that cigar tastes like because I've smoked it so many times.
Yeah.
I know exactly what it gives me. I remember smoking it when I lived in a house in Centerville, and I was on my back patio. And it was one of those nights where, do you remember the back patio? If it rained, it would get really foggy.
Yeah.
Like the windows would fog up and it'd be really humid.
Yeah.
It was one of those humid nights. I had that TV mounted out there. I remember the podcast episode that I was watching, and it was about the economy. And specifically, it was one that Joe Rogan did that he typically never did.
Yeah.
He did remote. And it was all about this guy talking about this the economy and had his like logos up. It was like a green logo. I vividly remember this. I'm smoking the 2018 Mule Kick, and I'm reflecting on all these flavors in this cigar that I had experienced. And I was like, oh my God, this is like my thing. Here's what I'm going to say about the 2022 Mule Kick. If you don't retrohale the cigar, it has similar characteristics to the 2020. Reviewed the 2020, reviewed the 2019, reviewed the 2017, reviewed all the iterations.
I can see that, yeah.
It is very, very 2020. If you smoke the cigar, you retrohale it, it takes you back to 2018. To me, it has very hybrid characteristics between those two cigars. Not retrohaling the cigar makes it not good, but the best flavor expressions, the most you're going to get out of the cigar, the most enjoyment you're going to get out of the cigar is making sure that you inhale that cigar, you draw it in, and you blow it out your nose. It's that sensory sensation that you get that you otherwise wouldn't get, where I feel like you're going to get more of that 2020 vibe, which I thought was a little bit more mild. I thought it was a little bit more tame.
For sure.
I am telling you right now, if you spend, and I'm going to do a video on YouTube as far as the importance of retrohaling a cigar to get the most amount of flavor expressions. There's so much science around why you want to do this in terms of flavor characteristics of the cigar. Is literally one of the best things I've ever experienced in a cigar in my life. To the point where I only have 2 of these motherfuckers. I only have 1 left.
I'm gone. I'm done.
And I'm like,
you don't want to smoke it.
Dude, I'm ordering
Yeah.
boxes.
You want to make sure you don't run out. Yeah.
Boxes. Now, does that kind of give away where I think? Yeah, it probably does. So let's move on. Chris, what do you think in terms of price? We gotta hustle through this.
Hustle. I think the price is great. It's not too dissimilar than other years. It's been very consistent.
Right in alignment, really. I mean, they used to range at $10.95, but obviously there's certain inflation factors in there. This is $11.95, so it's right at that $12 price point. It's exactly where it's
an hour and 40 smoke for most, and for Cory it's 30. But the thing is I here's the thing.
That's true.
Here's the thing. I have no doubt in my mind for 1 second. And this is not trying to be biased, but it's like when you have something good and you know it's good from the initial, you will take your sweet ass time. And I can guarantee you, Cory did not smoke this one in 30 minutes.
No, dude, you know what's funny
You
about that?
probably smoked it probably as slow as you could. 2 hours?
2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like in the fucking zone. It was the only thing I was doing. I wasn't paying attention to anything. It was the only thing I was doing.
Isn't that great?
That was it.
When it's not even about utility, it's about enjoyment.
Dude, for me, it was just, I was in the moment.
Yeah.
Just in the moment.
Yeah.
I was I was like a heroin addict trying to get that next fix. I'm like, oh, remember that first time I smoked that thing in 2018? I'm chasing that fucking dragon.
Yeah.
That was me chasing the fucking dragon.
Yeah.
I got it. I found it.
Yeah.
I think it's worth it. I'm not saying I love the alignment of pricing of the cigar. I think it's so perfect for the marketplace.
I think it is.
It's so perfect. Now, could you get away with getting like $1 or $2 more? Yes, but it's so Crown Head's just perfect. It's perfect for what they bring out. It's perfect. The representational line as a whole. It's very much in alignment with previous years, with the adjustment of inflation. It's right where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Quick pros and cons.
Pros. If you've been waiting for a resurgence of a similar 2018 Mule Kick, I think you got it. I think, actually, in my opinion, I think it's better than the 2018.
Hot take.
And I'm like Cory. Cory loves the 2018 more than me.
Yeah, I'm obsessed. It's bad.
But I have definitively
Very bad.
believed for the past 4 years that the 2018 has always been my favorite.
Yeah, hands down. It's not even close.
This year for me, I have a hard time believing that it's not better than the 2018.
Oh, that is a hot tickety take.
And so I really love the cigar. So, and I think if you're looking for a successor to that 2018, if you have such an affinity towards it, I think you've found it. There really is no cons for me. I had a great burn. It was great construction. It's indicative of the brand. The price point's, I think, perfect for what it is. It's really hard to find a bad thing to say about it.
Yeah.
Other than you just don't like a mule kick.
And it could be. Hey, this is the great thing about cigars. There's so much subjectivity to the flavors. But it's kind of
like if you're in that exploratory phase, like me and Cory are constantly in, and that means including smoking BSery.
Oh yeah,
to be honest,
I smoke a lot of BSery. I smoke more BSery than not.
But if you're in the same mindset of openness as we have been for cigars, and you're willing to explore, and you haven't smoked a Crown Heads Mule Kick. Maybe you've tried some other ones. Maybe you haven't tried them at all. I would imagine, based on our viewership and listenership, you've had a Crown Heads. But if you haven't had a Mule Kick before, boy, 2022 is a great introduction to that brand.
Dude, for sure. For sure. I don't know that I could have said that any better. Pros for me, absolute flavor explosion on the retrohale. You cannot smoke the cigar and appreciate it to the nth degree that I did unless you smoke it on the retro. I'm telling you right now, if you're a little bitch and you don't like smoking cigars on the retrohale or you're a new cigar smoker, I'm telling you, fucking sack up, Nancy. Fucking blow that shit through your nose. You're going to love it. Smoke output, despite the tight draw, was very plentiful. I really appreciate that. One of the most dynamic cigars I've had this year. And as I've already told you, and I'm reading it in my notes now, smoked for 2 hours, which is great. The only con that I have was a slight tight draw at the beginning of the cigar, but ended up opening up over a period of time. For me, literally, I could not say this. It's so box worthy. Like I'm going to buy so much of this cigar, it's going to be unreal. I never buy boxes of cigars. It's super rare. Although I did just buy a box of Davidoffs.
Oh.
Yeah. Yamas.
Oh, dude, what a good one.
Yeah, they're on their way. Pretty excited. I got a great deal.
I'm going to buy one from you.
You know how much? You know how much a piece?
Well, they're $12 to $13 a piece.
Oh. Huh?
Did you get them at Toro's?
No, there's like the short Robustos. They're like a 4 3/4.
I'm sorry, I meant Robustos.
Yeah, 4 3/4 by 50.
Because I've only seen them in Robustos.
I forget what it is. 4 3/4 by 50.
Yeah.
$8.30 a piece.
A piece. Holy bejesus!
Oh my god, how did I do it? I don't know.
Auction house.
All right, let's get in the score of the cigar. So we're talking about the fucking Mule Kick. Let's go through it real quick. We gotta hustle.
Sure. Construction's amazing. Burns amazing. Flavors amazing. Price perfect. I can't help but give it this.
Yep.
Mine gets a 95%, which is the hot ticket.
Whoa! Shit. Yeah. Damn, that's awesome. I thought the cigar was fucking incredible. It took me back to 2018, which I just hold in, again, chasing the dragon. It's my heroin addiction. I think it's one of the best cigars literally ever created, and I don't think it gets enough attention. I don't think it gets enough love. 2022 is the fucking resurgence year of the fucking Mule Kick to its to a heightened degree that I haven't personally seen since 2018. No offense to the 19 and the 20. I thought those were good cigars, but they're not like this. They're not incredible. I actually give it a highly recommended score of a 94.2. So in total, does it get the hot ticket? If we're rounding it up, it does.
If we're rounding up?
Round it up, it gives a 95%. It gives a 94.6, rounded up to a 95.
I think that's the first time collectively this year that we've had an average score that's the hot ticket.
It is, dude. I'm telling you right now, and I can't say too much because we're literally running out of time. The seconds are passing. One of the best cigars that it's definitely the best cigar I've smoked all year. It's close. It's close. That Epernay was up there, but this is close. So that's it. Fucking mind blowing. Get your hands on the Mule Kick 2022. I can't wait to buy boxes of these cigars. I can't wait till they even just age a little bit more. Not to say they need it, but I kind of like them just kind of mellowed in the flavor a little bit.
Yeah, they'll mellow.
I think it'll be really good. So anyway, that concludes the episode. Thanks for joining us on episode 238. We'll be back at you next week with episode 239. See you, everyone. Bye.